the next session already, which is the lounge session on data, engineering, and cloud, the X factor in AI-led transformation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me quickly go ahead and give you a little introduction about what this is all about. AI alone will not solve large, complex, and unresolved problems of the enterprises. Next-in-class enterprise transformation strategy will need a secret sauce of AI to succeed and provide impact. Now, with the advent of extracting data from non-obvious sources, triggering robust data pipes for firing ensemble ML algorithms, and hosting the transformational play of data and engineering and cloud, the trifecta of data, engineering, and cloud have emerged as critical success factors to unleash enterprise transformation, innovation, and disruption. The panel will dwell upon the facets of bringing together data, engineering, and cloud capabilities and solutions, along with sharing multiple use cases and scenarios for AI-led transformation. So there, rightfully, we welcome you to our next session, which is a lounge session on data, engineering, and cloud, the X factor in AI-led transformation. And the speakers as part of this panel are as follows. The first speaker is the Global Head CPG, Vice President, Course 5 Intelligence, Imran Saeed. Now, Imran leads Course 5's global CPG practice, developing new AI tech-enabled solutions for Fortune 500 clients, maximizing impact at scale with emphasis on decision makers' adoption of analytics. He has over 18 years of consulting experience advising senior leadership and the C-suite on digital transformation initiatives in a variety of developed and emerging markets. He previously held positions of increasing responsibility at Absolute Data, Genpact, and HSBC Risk Analytics. So please welcome our first speaker, Imran Saeed. Our second speaker is the Senior Vice President, Credit Risk Head, Wells Fargo. Please welcome Shweta Kasturirangan. Now, Shweta Kasturirangan leads the credit risk organization at Wells Fargo, India and Philippines, and is responsible for managing all credit risk capabilities under the second line of defense of the bank. She oversees a team of risk management professionals supporting credit lifecycle analytics, loss forecasting, cross-credit intelligence, stress testing, and credit capital allowance. Now, prior to joining Wells Fargo India, she worked in Citibank, HSBC, and GE Capital. She also holds an MBA from IIT Kanpur and bachelor's degree in computer science and engineering. Please put your hands together and welcome our next speaker, Shweta Kasturirangan. And the third speaker here is the Vice President, Technology Labs, Bridge I2I, Prinkin Pal. Prinkin heads Technology Labs and is responsible for the Technology Center of Excellence, Engineering AI Accelerators, and CIO Solutions. Prinkin has been a key leader who has helped Bridge I2I build data engineering and ML ops practice from scratch over the years. He's led tech talent development, innovation, design, and delivery of AI solutions for the digital enterprise, and has a bachelor's degree in electronics and communication engineering from VTU, or Visvesvaraya Technological University. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that makes us the third speaker, Prinkin Pal. The fourth speaker here is the head of data, Gojek, Matangi Shri. Matangi is a renowned data science leader in India. She has 11 patent grants and 20 plus patents published in the area of intuitive customer experience, indoor positioning, and user profiles. She has recently published a book, Practical Natural Language Processing with Python. She has 17 plus years of proven track record in building world-class data sciences solutions and products. She is adept in ML, text mining, NLP technologies and tools. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the fourth speaker, Matangi Shri. And moderating this lovely panel here is the very wonderful moderator, Irina Ghosh, Executive Director, Cloud Solutions, Microsoft India. Irina, as the leader for Microsoft's Cloud Solutions in India, is responsible for empowering cloud by engaging with customers and partners to envision and architect their digital growth strategy. She leads a team of cloud specialists and technical evangelists with diverse capabilities across Microsoft's 5 solution areas. Additionally, she heads the India Microsoft Technology Center, an experience center that provides customers access to innovative technologies and world-class expertise. A Microsoft veteran for nearly 2 decades, Irina has held a variety of strategy and sales leadership roles across our enterprise and education segments, focusing on business management, operations, partnerships, innovations, and new business initiatives, she said. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our moderator, Irina Ghosh. And before I hand it over to her, a quick reminder once again to all our panelists and the moderator to please kindly stick to your time or save time. All right. With that, over to you, Irina, and the panelists.
Thank you so much. And it's indeed a privilege and an honor to be chairing this panel with such an esteemed set of speakers out here. So as you kind of talked about it, I think this session focuses really on the last mile and how to make it real, making it come in class and place for all the enterprises with the trifecta of data engineering as well as AI coming together. Now, in that context, Imran, my first question is frankly to you to just set the stage. And this is about setting the culture of data in an organization. We know that everybody considers it important, but to make it real and sustainable, there have to be a few things. One is, how do we set across a tone at the top? How do we ensure people use it beyond the core group? It really proliferates. And finally, how do we ensure that it becomes really sustainable? And also, how do you ensure that anything which is related to, say, dashboarding, visualization, people really consider it as one single source of truth and converge into one? Net, how does this really become a live source in any organization?
Sure. No, thanks, Irina. I mean, it's a wonderful question, in fact. And I purposely, focus a lot on this trifecta piece, which is the last mile. Organizations often ask, which is, what is the true ROI that they get out of, deploying analytics? And to me, it's not about the core set of people who are building these analytic modules, the data science and the data engineers, which we have had been throughout the day in the panel, but about the people who are going to be using it, because if they start seeing the value into it, you automatically get scalability. You automatically get sustainability as well, because that program, continues to evolve on its own as well. And we know that AI is truly driving innovation and shrinking that life stages of innovation at a fairly rapid pace. So as we see decision making, to me, that's the core aspect part of it. If I can help in solving a decision that the end user is making, and this could be sitting in supply chain, sales guys, any of them, the finance or the legal and any of those pieces, then to me, it brings about this piece of scalability and sustainability. And I think these three pieces, which is technology, AI, and cloud, are now being able to really bring in and drive that piece. Earlier, it was still limited because these elements were not either approachable, affordable, time sensitive. But now the way each of these three individual modules, which is data, engineering, and the cloud, have come together, and perhaps often at times I overlay the aspect which perhaps somebody also spoke about, either the design aspect part of it, right? The design thinking of how the end user will think of consuming it. To me, that's the really key. And we have examples. We don't need to go outside. If we think from within the panel, we had somebody from Lenskart. It's fairly easy to now buy a glass, a spectacle, sitting in online and using it, which erstwhile you would think, no, till the time I'm not visiting a store, the feel of it, wearing the glasses, I can't really buy it. So solving that aspect, farmer, and I think agri is again one sector where I'm seeing a lot of traction coming into this particular sector, which is, can images be used to understand the quality of the produce, and they'll help in the pricing? And I'm not even talking about the pricing at a corporate level, but more about the commodity pricing that can help the farmers itself to drive more revenue and what they were driving it. So perhaps to me is the adoption and of how we bring all these three things together is a core aspect, will automatically drive the sustainability and the scalability within the analytics and the AI world.
Very beautifully said, Imran. And I think I picked upon the fact that how they're converging and they're really becoming so conversant in the organization's overall course. And I really also think that the pandemic made it even more real and made people realize that it can happen quicker and in a very nimble and agile manner. So with that, let me come across to you, Imran. The question I have for you is that in today's world, when you need to take an overall view of how the convergence needs to happen together, so is there a way that you think about the entire thing about the sustenance of this, the role the people have to play as well, the role that the organization itself has to play?
I think it should start with one of the panelists that earlier talked about, which is, what are we solving for? And I think it should be driven from there, and all these others automatically become like the enablers. So it's still the human element part of it. And I think that's where, in one of my earlier conversations with somebody, I was talking about that the AI will augment the human behavior.
Right.
It's not going to eat away. It's going to augment. There are far more decisions that I and you are taking today as compared to perhaps what our parents were doing it. Their job ended at 5 p.m. and then it was like a family time. Whereas perhaps for us, it's not the 5 o'clock, but 5 o'clock in the next morning. So the number of decisions we are making are far more, and hence the use of AI to augment our decision making will continue to drive. So people-oriented aspects, impact-oriented solutions.
Very nice. Thank you so much. Let me come across to you, Matangi. So we heard about the way the culture has to be created, how it can be sustained. Now, organizations are really having the intention of doing it. But I think where a lot of people grapple in this entire thing is that how do we create a holistic view, which is long-term, which can be scalable when you think about the trifecta of data engineering and cloud coming together? What are some of the industry templates or use cases that you are seeing coming in here?
Hi, Irina. Hello, panelists. So I think one of the ways that things could come together, having seen data science at different organizations, one of the key things that is seeming to work are the pod structure. So organization structures are I think at the core of this, kind of bringing these teams together, not only engineering, data science, and of course the infrastructure, but also I think design and product has a huge role to play here. Getting these teams together as a pod, when I mean pod, these are generally teams which are tightly held by a purpose and OKRs, and loosely held possibly by the reporting structures, right? So we are moving to an organization structure where goals play a larger role, than how your performance traditionally got reviewed, right? So there, and hence what happens in these structures is the role of project management, and as well as people getting tight boundaries to play their role kind of diminishes, and together teams are able to achieve much more than a heavily guided structure. And that's one key element where I think that's one industry template where things can improve. The second thing also is becoming, two things I want to cover there. One is the role of data science team kind of taking a lead in this trifecta unit that you talked about, and I'm kind of calling that as a pod, is very important. Given that data science hasn't been there for a long time, it's still a new kid in the block. A lot of organizations are evolving maturity with it. So the data science team has a larger role to play rather than just focusing on the technical solution. Having an eye on business impact, how you overall impact the goal of the organization is very important, and data science can play a pivotal role in that. That sense of building algorithms more practically and being more influenced by the practical nature of the algorithms, I think that could also help in taking some of these AI solutions forward. The other thing, of course, is the infrastructure itself, like how well an organization invests in the infrastructure, the cloud thing that we spoke about. That also kind of has to improve as with data science and design and product coming together.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Matangi. And I really like that outcome-based pod structure to bring together a lot of loosely coupled things within the organization. Thanks a lot for that. Now, Prinkan, I have a question for you. that we heard about the way people are thinking about bringing this into a reality. I guess what needs to happen is having a very robust thoughtful way of putting the entire infrastructure in place. So building strong data pipes that involves a lot of clinical data engineering. Now that would mean the data wrangling, the data architecture, the data lake creation needs to be really embedded and integrated into the entire journey cycle. So when you create this internal data engineering approach, which is future proof, what are some of the best suited ways that you'd be thinking about that these become the consumption way in the future?
Thanks, Elena, for that question. I think, see, the approach of data engineering for any organization would primarily depend upon the size and the type of data systems the business needs to deal with in short term as well as the long term. However, what is important is to imbibe a platform kind of a thinking from day one that kind of assesses or rather assesses all aspects of scalability and eases democratization at scale at a later point, because that is something which is very important for any data-driven organization. Now, if we think about the journey of data platforms, one can start with the ability to harness structured data from their operational sources, like we typically do, to provide visibility, and evolve then later to a lakehouse kind of a solution that has the ability to harness heterogeneous kind of data, which is both structured, unstructured, ability to extract features from unstructured data, and enable data as a service for building different data products. Now, obviously, this evolution demands a lot of sophistication over a period of time in terms of data ingestion, quality management, serving mechanisms of the data to different teams, whether it is a product team or whether it is a core analytics COE of the organization. And therefore, I think a framework-oriented manner from day one, while you are thinking of this entire platform, different technology frameworks, which allows you to ingest at scale, which allows you to harness at scale, manage data at scale, manage data operations at scale, is very, very important. Now, we have all seen that data engineering had always been there, but with AI use cases, especially becoming more relevant in solving business problems, and cloud platforms typically fueling the growth of the same, decisions on architecture components like operationalization of machine learning algorithms or certain kind of data models for highly connected data in form of knowledge graphs, etc., have become more and more critical. Therefore, I think we need to take a very holistic view while we take baby steps. We need to ensure that we are preparing for scale, and therefore the integratability and the modularization needs to take place from starting day one.
Lovely. I think the part that you talked about data as a service also to kind of make it more integrated into the entire way that organizations are consuming is such a critical factor of everything. So Prinkan, I have a follow-up question to you on this, and if Shweta, you can also answer that subsequently. So we all talk about data quality and the adherence as really the functional block for everything that we build up. And robust algorithms need to be so critical. So while organizations really know about the need, they lack really having an integrated way in which there is a defined practice to build this up. So what, according to you, should be there as an ingrained philosophy in the organization to build this right from the beginning so that everything kind of comes across as a blueprint of the organization?
Yeah, I think, see, data quality has primarily been a discipline that organizations fail to adhere to from day one or at different periods of time. But if you look at, there has been huge investments as well as push from the top down for enabling data quality adherence, and therefore historically, if you see, organizations have been heavily dependent upon business rules defined by the functional subject matter experts or the data stewards to ensure data quality. Now, while that has helped in many ways, the challenge is primarily, the business is varying so dynamically, and therefore the creation of data at source only is getting impacted. And these rules defined by businesses are not very dynamic enough to handle those boundary conditions or these evolving scenarios. Therefore, as I see in the industry, there's a lot of experimentation that is going on today towards use of augmented data quality techniques. So if I can take an example, there are processes that we are following traditionally, but we are also using advanced AI algorithms in data quality. For an example, for data at rest and in motion, if I give one example each, use of NLP and similarity algorithms for curating customer master data hierarchies, for an example. If I talk about in motion, augmented DQ activities, continuous monitoring of DQ and audit metrics, using anomaly detection techniques to identify data lineages, using solutions like data quality watchtower. What I have seen with my clients is, especially clients who are transforming their business models into more of as a service business model, they are really benefiting out of this kind of strategy.
Perfect. Thank you. Shweta, how about you?
Thanks, Arina, for the question, and thanks, Prinkan. I think you covered a lot of the ways in which data quality adherence is being transformed in today's world. But if we were to rewind to the fundamentals, analytics has always believed in good data in, good algorithms out, good business decisions that come out. And AI is no different, with all the advances in AI and cloud and the data completely exploding. The importance to data quality has only magnified. To just put it in perspective, some of the large MNC organizations are thinking that they will have to spend upwards of $80 million a year if they do not adhere to data quality, especially in a compliance-driven environment such as banking. That is the kind of importance that is being laid to data quality as of today. Now, with hybrid platforms, with multiple types of data structures, with a lot of options coming up together today in terms of whether to house the data on the premises because of security reasons, because of geo-compliance reasons, or to keep it on the cloud, the importance of data quality is adhered to by 2 or 3 best practices that some of the organizations that are investing heavily on AI and cloud strategy are doing. If I were to quickly call out what these 3 are, one is the integration toolkit. How do you actually integrate data that is today in parts, some of it on premises, some of it on the cloud, either for reasons belonging to security or either for reasons that the organization is in its journey towards moving towards cloud? How do you integrate the two? Is there a well-defined, documented process and mechanism to integrate? That's one thing that is being looked at very, very closely. Second is just open any of the job portals. There are n number of opportunities up for data governance engineers and data governance officers. Now, that trend clearly shows the importance that we have in kind of identifying how the data is flowing in, what is the timestamp on it, how does it get transformed, to actually be able to build that history together for the data even before we begin talking about the AI output. So that's the second thing. The third thing is data lineage and traceability. For long now, there's been a lot of research that is happening on explainability. We've not really reached the zenith of how all we can explain the AI algorithms and the outputs that it can produce. But if we were to rewind a little and to take it to the fundamental blocks, it's about actually explaining the lineage of the data element. And the day we get it right, it is going to open up doors to a lot more opportunities using data cloud and the triage of the 3 of them. So nothing more important than data quality as a building block in really moving to the next phase in this journey.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Shweta. And I really like those 3 pointers that you put together out here. And that's a perfect segue to the last part of the trifecta, which is the cloud capability, which has really brought in so much of agility in the industry right now and provided really a fillip to this AI becoming a reality. Because you're really having the ability to host solutions, the storage, and everything is kind of getting taken care of. So what are some of the things that you're seeing in this context, which is bringing in a lot more reality into the cloud world?
So today, there is data, there is cloud, there is AI engineering, all of them evolving at their own pace, evolving, dynamically, and also trying to intersect with each other at the same time. So all of this, while there are innovations happening in each one of them, the trifecta of that is, kind of branching off into a whole lot of possibilities. The speaker just before us, Mr. Philippe, he spoke about collective intelligence. The ability to modularize many of these solutions, and a good data science engineer who can actually pick up the various modules and piece it together can actually build solutions that are on the horizon as of today. We all know about personalization that Netflix or Amazon has actually brought into our lives, but if we were to take that even a notch up, the personalization on the go, personalization in areas such as healthcare, which can be delivered with very less, questions on why it is so, or why is the result leading to what it is. Imagine if cancer markers today were delivered with so much precision, how many more takers would be there for that solution? So I think that personalization is an element that is really going to explode in the coming years. The second thing that he spoke about is synchronous AI, the ability to kind of, take the various building blocks and piece them together is another piece that is going to come in. And then for some of y'all who have been following it from the first session onwards, we are moving away from thinking that AI is a one-stop solution, a very singular answer to many problems, to a coexisting AI solution or a cobot solution. AI is really complementing human intelligence in that sense, and the opportunity to move to areas of using AI beyond just cost optimization or increased revenues in enhancing human intelligence is, I think, a key area that, is just waiting to burst on the scenes.
Cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that answer. With that, I think we are on time. Thank you so much to all of you for bringing in your superpower abilities for solving all these complex situations and problems and giving a lens view of how it can be done from your vantage points. I hope the audience has some key takeaways from here. With that, back to you.
Thank you so much, Irina. Very, very well structured moderation, I must say. And what a fantastic way to end all the panel discussions we've had with your panel. And thank you so much to all our speakers. They spoke with aplomb about the use case scenarios and so many other things that they spoke about. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.